Hello, very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the mains answer writing class where we are discussing the major and the minor themes that are important for your preliminary examination 2026. तो सबसे पहले थीम हम ले रहे हैं मॉडर्न रिवॉल्यूशंस की, जहां पे हम देखेंगे अमेरिकन रिवॉल्यूशन, फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन एंड द रशियन रिवॉल्यूशन. तो यहाँ पे टुडे वी हैव टेकन द फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन. अब ये एक ऐसा रिवॉल्यूशन था जहां पे हमें मॉडर्न आइडियाज लाइक लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी एंड फ्रैटर्निटी, जो आज भी हम हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रियम्बल में यूज करते हैं. ओके, सो ये आइडियाज कहां से आती है? दिस आइडियाज कम्स फ्रॉम द फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन. एंड अभी हमें इस फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन को इस तरह से सीखना है ताकि हम अच्छी तरह से मेंस के क्वेश्चंस को आंसर कर पाए. But before that, let us understand the significance of this major theme, that is the French Revolution. Now see guys, if you see the mains analysis since 2013, okay, so since 2013, you will see that the questions on the world history are on an average asked at least for a single question. ठीक है, तो हर साल में आपको दिखाई देगा कि एटलीस्ट एक सिंगल क्वेश्चन तो आता ही आता है. लीव द इयर्स फॉर 2022 एंड 2023. अभी अगर आप 2020, 2013, 14 और 15 में देखेंगे तो ये नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चन जो थे काफी हाई थे, बट इन द लेटर स्टेज you will see the less number of questions which are being asked from the world history. But अगर आप प्रेजेंट प्रिलिमिनरी क्वेश्चन पेपर देखेंगे ऑफ 2026, इट वाज अ क्वाइट गुड शॉक फॉर द पीपल हु वर डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द रिसेंट एनालिसिस. तो यहाँ पे हमें दिखाई देता है कि प्रीलिम्स 2026 में यूपीएससी क्वेश्चन पेपर ने काफी यू टर्न ले लिया है. ओके, द सेम टर्न विच वाज बीइंग फॉलोड प्रीवियसली बिफोर 7 to 8 years. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे इस तरह से मेंस में भी होने के ज्यादा चांसेस है. तो वी नीड टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड विथ ऑल एन नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स व्हिच हैज बीन प्रीवियसली आस्क्ड बाय यूपीएससी मेंस एग्जामिनेशन. बियॉन्ड दैट, I have taken out some of the major and minor themes that are very necessary to be covered by you while preparing for your mains answers. Okay, so in 2017 we had the question on the decolonization process of Malay Peninsula. Of course, it was also a British colony. After that, we have 2018 ka question on indentured labor, again the British colonization. After that, in 2019, we have the question on American and the French Revolution. So mind it here कि 2019 से पहले और एक बार ये क्वेश्चन पहले पूछा गया था, and that was in 2013. In 2013, UPSC had asked a main question on the American Revolution, and it was reflected in your question paper after 4 to 5 years. तो chances बहुत high है इस बार भी फिर से थीम रिपीट हो सकती है. The high chances, I am saying. After that, in 2020, we didn't had any of the question from the world history. Then 2021, we find the question on the World War का theme. Okay. After that, the Renaissance period पे एक क्वेश्चन था in 2023. तो बीच में 2022 में कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछा गया था. अच्छा, रिनाइसेंस के बाद अगेन 2024 में the same thing was being repeated continuously, and in 2024 only the next question was the First World War. So First World War and the Renaissance period, इस चीज पे दो क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए थे. अभी यहाँ पे चीज एक नोट कर लेना, वर्ल्ड वॉर was the repeated theme, okay, and Renaissance period was also repeated theme in 2024. Again in 2025 we have the question on the French Revolution, which is again the repeated theme, right? तो चाहे कुछ भी करो वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री के लिए, लेकिन रिपीटेड थीम्स वाले जो चैप्टर्स है वो बिल्कुल भी हमें स्प्लिट नहीं करने हैं while preparing for our mains examination. And that is why we have taken the today's topic, that is French Revolution. So when we study the French Revolution, we need to first study the society. Okay, because it is the society, it is the middle class person who would be resisting against the government for his own freedom, for his liberty, for establishment of equality and fraternity like principles in the society. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे we just need to concentrate that that time the society, that is during 1700s or the period during the late 1700s, the society was divided into 3 states. Now आज हम जब एंशंट इंडिया पढ़ते हैं, वी स्टडी अबाउट द वर्ना सिस्टम, एंड इन वर्ना सिस्टम इफ यू रिमेंबर वी हैव 4 वर्नास, ओके, ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य एंड शूद्र, राइट? So similarly in their society also, in European society also, they had the 3 hierarchies, namely nobility, मतलब जो kings है, okay, उसके बाद में clergy, तो ये जो है ये चर्च में रहेंगे like feudal lords, and after that the last one are the peasantry or the farmers. अब majorly उस टाइम जो occupation था, it was a farm occupation, and that is why we have peasantry over here on the major chunk. तो ये जो peasantry था, it was about 98% of the population, okay, and clergy and nobility was just 2% of the total population of the France. So here you can see the most powerful was the less populated and the least powerful was the more populated section of the society. तो यहाँ पे एक चीज बहुत डोमिनेटिंगली चलती है, दैट इज दे बिलीव द सिस्टम ऑफ डिवाइन राइट्स ऑफ किंग थ्योरी. तो डिवाइन राइट्स ऑफ किंग्स थ्योरी का मैंने क्लास में जिक्र किया था, स्पेशली विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू फ्यूडलिज्म. तो डिवाइन राइट्स थ्योरी क्या होती है? यस, नाउ व्हाट इज डिवाइन राइट्स थ्योरी, डिवाइन राइट्स ऑफ द किंग्स थ्योरी? तो डिवाइन राइट्स किंग थ्योरी में it is considered that the kings are the angels sent by the God, and that is why they have all the rights, all the powers and all the functions to apply on the peasantry as well as the second hierarchy people. And the same theory was being followed in the France. Okay, now here you will see this 2% people would be dominating this 98% of Janta. Now, when they would be dominating, they won't be dominating just physically. They would be dominating on the economical basis. They would be dominating on the political basis as well. Now, just as an example, if I need to talk with is the taxation system, which was very prevalent in the France during the late 1700s. So here, the nobility also putted the tax, land tax, okay, on the peasants, which was known as telling, and the clergy section also imposed the tax on the peasants, which was known as the tithe, and which was the 1/10 of the total produce of the from the farms. Okay, so due to this, you will see that the peasant is only the class which would be having the whole burden of the revenue share. Now, other 2 classes, which was the 2% of the population, was firstly the most powerful, and secondly, it was not even contributing in the revenue. Okay, I am repeating it again. This 2% of population was the population of such a kind which is more powerful, more wealthy, which is owning more amount of land, but still it is not contributing in the revenue distribution. Secondly, on the another side of the coin, we'll see such a class who would be contributing in the revenue share, and that too in excessive manner, that too in the regressive manner. तो जितना property कम, उतना ज़्यादा tax यहाँ पे दिखाई देता है. Now today in current date we follow the progressive tax system. जितना ज़्यादा income है, उतना ज़्यादा tax. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे चीज उल्टी है. Fine. Now, due to this, there was discontent among the peasants. Okay, there was a discontent among the peasants. Now, when we see that this was a time period when the King Louis XVI was ruling the France. Now, this king was quite indecisive in nature. That is why आपको दिखेगा कि बहुत luxury life जीता है, and in fact there are n number of stories around his queen also, that she was also the same kind of person. Okay, so there is no major legacy of this king beyond the bad decisions which he had made during his reign. Okay, so the King Louis XVI, okay, due to such all the issues of taxation issue that the people are not happy in our society with the administration, with the king. So what to do? Okay, so he appointed one finance minister known as Robert Jacques. Acha, before this Robert Jack come into the picture, there was a major event known as American Revolution. तो जब अमेरिका में रिवॉल्यूशन हो रहा था उस वक्त हम देखेंगे कि फ्रांस जो है अमेरिका को सपोर्ट करता है by giving n number of military resources, human resources, so that America could win against the British Empire. ठीक है, तो इस चीज में वो और बैंकरप्ट हो जाता है, कौन? फ्रांस. तो फ्रांस इस चीज से बहुत बैंकरप्ट हो जाता है, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाता है, पॉवर्टी बढ़ जाती है. ओके, एंड ड्यू टू दिस अगेन द डिसकंटेंट अमंग द सोसाइटी ग्रोज इन द फ्रांस. ओके, तो अभी ऐसे सिचुएशन में क्या करे? तो वो एक एक्सपर्ट को नियुक्त करता है एज फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर. एंड ऑफ कोर्स ही वाज अ वेरी गुड काइंड ऑफ रिफॉर्मर. Okay, economic reformer. Now, one thing you need to take a note that this Robert Jack was very close with the Adam Smith. The same Adam Smith which you read in your economy book. Now, this Adam Smith used to believe in the free kind of economy, less governance and more output. Okay, so the Robert Jack also suggested the same thing to the King Louis XVI. So, he suggested that the government should not interfere in the internal matters of the people. Secondly, the taxation should be put on the nobility and the clergy class. Now, this was quite shock for the upper classes, 2% population. Okay, so here the nobility and the clergy people would be quite disappointed by this of the finance. एंड यही चीज होती है जिस वजह से फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को निकाला जाता है उसके प्रोफाइल से. बियॉन्ड दैट व्हाट ही ब्रिंग्स इज द ब्लैक फार्म लॉज. ब्लैक फार्म लॉज मतलब ऐसे लॉज जहां पे ग्रेन्स या जो भी एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस होगा उसकी कीमत डिस्कस करने के लिए, डिसाइड करने के लिए किंग जो है ज्यादा डोमिनेट नहीं करेगा. इट वुड बी कंप्लीटली फ्री on the people's will to decide the pricing system of the grains. Okay, अब इस चीज से क्या होता है? प्राइस बहुत हाई चली जाती है, फूड ग्रेन्स की प्राइस बहुत हाई चली जाती है एंड पॉवर्टी जो है काफी बढ़ जाती है. Why? Because those who are able to purchase this grain, they will purchase. But what about those who are not in the position to purchase the grains? So they will stay poor only. The famine like condition would be increasing. Okay, so इस टाइम पे बहुत सारी famines आती है फ्रांस. Again the discontent grows at a high level. Okay, तो यहाँ पे 1776 में फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर रॉबर्ट जैक्स को निकाला जाता है by the nobility also, and again the people, the common man was also disappointed with such. Beyond that, we also have Anglo-French War. Anglo-French War means the war between the France and the Britain. तो ब्रिटेन क्यों लड़ेगा? क्योंकि फ्रांस ने पिछली बार जो है अमेरिकन रिवॉल्यूशन में अमेरिका को सपोर्ट किया था, इसीलिए उस वजह से भी और डेट बढ़ता है. ओके, कर्जा बढ़ता है. व्हाई? बिकॉज मोर नंबर ऑफ military weapons are being used by taking the bank loans and everything. Okay, after that the inflation rises, famine rises and unemployment also rises. So all this four situation will hit the common man, the third tier ka people, that are the peasantries. Okay, so a common man would be totally getting disturbed up till 1785. Up till 1785. So the story starts after 1770 and it continues till 1785 with such degraded like situation. Now in between this we'll see that after 1785, when the people get enlightened, okay, they will promote the new ideas of governance. And in this, we'll see that the three estates were being called by the King Louis XVI. Now, this King Louis XVI calls the three estates in a meeting and declares that we would be having one particular estate is equals to one vote. का मतलब क्या है? नोबिलिटी एक स्टेट रहेगा, क्लर्गी एक स्टेट रहेगा, पीजेंट्री एक स्टेट रहेगा. ठीक है, तो हर एक चीज को एक एक वोट मिले. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आप सोचो, व्हेन वी आर सीइंग such kind of feudalism that is being present in the social hierarchy, you will see that the first two estates of nobility and the clergy would be always on the same page, would be always on the same platform, right? So 1 plus 1, it will be 2. Okay, and the another is the peasantry, so this would be having again one vote. लेकिन मेजोरिटी विंस, राइट? तो मेजोरिटी किसकी रहेगी? एनसी की रहेगी, मतलब नोबिलिटी एंड क्लर्गी. तो जिसकी मेजोरिटी रहेगी, डिसीजन उसी का रहेगा, राइट? एंड दैट इज व्हाई द पीजेंट्री क्विट्स दिस मीटिंग. ओके, ये जो मीटिंग जो अरेंज की थी, उस मीटिंग को क्विट करेंगे पीजेंट्री या कॉमन मैन सेक्शन. एंड देन दे विल से दैट दे वुड बी हैविंग देयर ओन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. That is, they would be establishing the National Assembly and they would be drafting their own constitution in their own way. Okay, so here the peasantry quits it. Okay, and when they plan to establish constituent assembly, okay, the king will keep the court doors completely closed on that day after 3 days. Okay, and that is why people will move to another court, and which was a tennis court. Okay, तो ये टेनिस कोर्ट की इवेंट काफी सिग्निफिकेंट है. ओके, तो इधर ही वो एक मीटिंग ले लेते हैं एंड दे डिक्लेयर द नेशनल असेंबली इज बीइंग एस्टैब्लिश्ड. ओके, so this is for the first time people would be governing for themselves. I mean, they would be starting their governance for themselves. Okay, so here there is an emergence of left wing and the right wing, which we talk today. Those people who would be supporting this democratic change would be termed as the left wing. Those who are okay with the old traditional system, they would be taken into consideration as the left wing supporters. तो तब से ये आइडिया पहली बार हमारे पॉलिटिक्स में चली आती है, लेफ्ट विंग एंड राइट विंग. ओके, बियॉन्ड दैट वी ऑल्सो हैव the output from this enlightenment ka era, that is, we get the idea of liberty, equality and fraternity, which were being discussed in this National Assembly at the tennis court, which was being conducted during 17 June 1789. Okay, especially the idea of liberty and equality was being talked on the longer debates. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आज भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो काफी सारे पेंटिंग्स आपको मिलेंगे. ओके, द पेंटिंग्स which tells about that historical event where we get the idea of liberty and equality from the tennis court oath. So all the common people took the oath and established the National Assembly. Now beyond this, we'll see that the story moves ahead in the next month, that is in the July month of 1789. So here we'll see that the Bastille Fort, तो एक Bastille Fort एक ऐसा था जहां पे prisoners को रखा जाता था by the king. तो वहां पे से 17 prisoners को रिहा कर दिया जाएगा by common man. And this was a complete action against the king's will. Secondly, यहाँ पे लोग बहुत सारा taxation system को resist करेंगे, that will not pay any of the tax. ठीक है, तो ये दो चीजें वहां पे होती है ड्यूरिंग जुलाई 1789, and this 14 July of 1789 is termed as a national day of France, and even today the country of France celebrates the day very enthusiastically. Okay. Now, beyond this, when we had established the Constituent Assembly in 9 July 1789, during the same assembly, there was a declaration of the rights of man and of citizen. Now, this was for the first time on the same lines, on the lines of liberty, on the lines of equality, and on the lines of fraternity. Okay. So, there were 17 articles which were being drafted by this Constituent Assembly for the first time. And this is how the France will be opening the system of the liberty, equality, and fraternity through drafting the constitution, which has 17 articles. And after these articles were being drafted, still they will see that none of them is being implemented on the ground level by the king. Okay. Now, due to this, many of the women from the France will walk towards the palace, the king's palace, which was known as the Palace of Versailles. Okay, so here all the women will march towards the Palace of Versailles, and this was termed as the March of Versailles. So after March of Versailles, we'll see that the king and the queen would come down from the throne and they would declare France as an independent and more democratic state than the previous one. Okay, so this is the story about the French Revolution. Now, what is the motto of understanding this story? Because unless and until you don't understand the background story, you won't be able to solve the mains answers. Because the mains answer also demands a quite good flow, quite good inclusion of the keywords. And unless and until you don't know the flow, you can't have a command over good amount of keywords. Okay, so here we have good ample amount of keywords like declaration of human rights of man and citizen, liberty, equality, fraternity. Beyond that, we have the ideas, that is emergence of left wing and right wing. Beyond that, we also have the intellectual class who would be contributing in enhancing the social resistance. Okay, for example, Montesquieu. Montesquieu talks about the spirit of laws. How should be the law? Whether it should intervene the personal space of a common man or not. Beyond that, we have Voltaire and Rousseau. So Voltaire will talk about the corruption which is being continuously being implemented in the church by the clergy class. After that, Rousseau would be talking about the hypocritism and the sovereignty which is needed. So hypocrisy by the king and the sovereignty which is being needed in the markets as well as in the society. Okay. So all this intellectual fact leads to the social resistance. So this can be included in some of the reasons of the causes of the French Revolution. Beyond that, we have social cause as well as political cause. So social cause, we very well know that you have inequalities in the society. Here you can draw that hierarchical system which was prevalent during the 1700s or the late 1700s. Beyond that, you can also talk about the religious monopoly that was being carried out during this period. After that, you can also talk about the political causes like despotic rule, legal confusion, defective judiciary, and imperial conquest and the economic burden. So here, of course, there was judiciary, but again, it was under the control of the king. Okay, so they would be declaring the same judgment which were in the will of King Louis XVI. Okay, beyond that, the imperial conquest and economic burden was quite high because everything was done for the encouraging of the profit motives, okay, for the King Louis XVI. Okay, so these are the major causes. So whenever such question arises, what were the causes of the French Revolution? So you have to split it into the major three dimensions: economic cause or the social cause, socio-economic cause, intellectual cause, and the political cause. After this French Revolution, we'll see one of the leader, that is Napoleon Bonaparte, will be coming into existence after 1799 and he would be staying till 1812. So after looking towards his previous experiences, he would be learning from this experience and he would be saying that no, I'm not going to have a despotic rule, but yes, he would be tilted towards the religious facets, like for example, his concordat contract. Like this contract was being filed with the Pope 7 during 1802. Okay, during 1802. So this was a contract was filed with the Pope Pius VII in 1802. Now, according to this contract, Napoleon Bonaparte would be taking all the decisions, major political decision, by asking this Pope. Okay. So, can we say that Napoleon Bonaparte, although after the French Revolution declared that we would be having social equality, we would be having sovereignty, but still he would be based on the recommendations given by the Pope. Okay. After that, we'll also see that he made the efforts to re-establish a new tax system. For example, he put the tax on the salt and tobacco, which was again criticized, by the. If you need to see the good side of the Napoleon Bonaparte, so he had the policy of conciliation and the social equality. So this was the positive side of the Napoleon Bonaparte. Beyond that, he would be also ruling in a very high centralized way. So again, he would be getting criticized due to this. Would be also getting criticized due to this. So this was the aftermath of French Revolution. Beyond that, if we need to see the consequence of the French Revolution, then it had established the new world order. So since then, we'll see that the capitalism will be rising on its peak. After that, the Declaration of Rights of the Man, which we saw while we were seeing the French Revolution, would be like a guiding light for the further countries, for the further resisting people in the another colonies. Okay. Beyond that, the Napoleon era was also the consequence. Okay. Now this Napoleon Bonaparte had been following the continental policy. Continental policy means he had the major goal to expand his territory from one continent to another. And in fact, he used to aim that one day I will rule all the continents of the world. And that is why this policy is termed as the continental policy. तो कॉन्टिनेंटल पॉलिसी हम ये पहली बार देखते हैं दुनिया में with respect to Napoleon Bonaparte. Beyond that, radicalism also rises. Republic principles also take their own place in the political background. After that, this French Revolution will overthrow the monarchical system. हमेशा हमेशा के लिए. Okay. In fact, in many parts of Europe. Okay, so these are some of the consequences of French Revolution. In 2025, when you were asked about the French Revolution, you were supposed to give the consequences on major basis. Okay, so these are some of the dimensions which you can use for your French Revolution ka consequences. Okay, now beyond this, just have an overview with respect to this practice question. Assess the significance of the French Revolution on the world stage. How did it change the course of modern history? So the first demand of the question is the significance of French Revolution on the world stage. And the dimension through which we need to hit this question is that how it did change the course of the modern history. So we can write about the different of ideas that French Revolution brought. We can write about the drafting of the constitution was observed for the first time, especially with respect to those 17 articles which we see in the Constituent Assembly. Okay, we can talk about the ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, right? Now, all these ideas we today also assemble in our preamble and the constitution. Okay, so this is the consequence of the French Revolution. Okay, so first we have to signify the French Revolution and then change the course of modern history after the French Revolution. And in fact, beyond that, if you want to go, you can also add the ideas about the Rousseau, okay, which we saw in the previous slide. Rousseau, Voltaire, Montesquieu. So this can be also added with respect to their works like Spirit of Laws जो उन्होंने लिखी थी, तो उसमें क्या किस किस चीज का जिक्र किया था, just in a single statement you can write in your mains answer writing. Now beyond that, there was a question in 2019 that was asked, explain how the foundations of the modern world were laid by the American and the French Revolution. Again the similar like question, similar like demand, which is being catered by this question by the UPSC mains 2019. So again you have to look upon the consequences, long term consequences of the French Revolution. Fine.